Hi guys, it's Kelly here. I'm back with another video for Trinity Stamps. Today I am using some items from the new release. I am using the Gnomies Under the Sea, the Backyard Pool, and then the sentiment comes from Summer Gnome Fun, I think. So as soon as I saw this backyard pool, I mean, it's like a self-built scene. I was like, yes, absolutely. But I can't leave anything well enough alone. So I'm like, what can we do to take it up a notch? I know. Let's create the look of something underwater and a shaker. Like, doesn't that sound fun? So we're gonna start with our stamping. We are stamping with ink that is safe for alcohol markers because I'm going to be doing some coloring with my Copics. While I'm doing my stamping, let me get the business end of things out of the way. So this is part of Video Hop for Trinity Stamps' new release. They are doing a $25 gift card, which will be selected from the comments. So make sure as you're hopping along, obviously the more comments you leave, the better your chances are of winning. And then plus you'll get to see all these, fantastic videos with the new release, which I really, really like. I was drawn to this one because I love a good scene card. And this one, even though it is not like a traditional one layer, all of the elements are like on the same layer on the top. But here what I'm doing is I'm getting all of the things laid out. So they have like these little ripples you can stamp in the water. In the under the sea gnomies, there's little bubbles, so I wanted to include those little bubbles from my guy's little snorkel. Yes, I know he's going to be down there quite a bit far for the snorkel, but I think that's okay. And then I had my little mermaid there just for placement to make sure that I didn't stamp anything in that area when I was getting them set up. And then again, I'm going to go ahead and do my stamping. I wanted to do the stamping before I did the die cutting, so I wasn't having to chase it around. So you obviously, there's a couple of different ways we do this. I chose to make it a shaker and to do the underwater technique, but you could do one or the other. You don't have to combine them the way that I did. And we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to that portion. So here is the mermaid, and then the sentiment, like I said, is from that other Summer Gnome Fun. And that one's really cute. It's got like a little beach towel and a little surfboard, and they have a lot of little floats. That one's would have been great for this scene as well, but I really wanted to do the underwater. So I have a piece of acetate here. I'm using just regular isopropyl alcohol. You could use also your what do they call it? Alcohol? No, I was going to say mixative, but that's not right. The alcohol medium, is that what they call it? And regular alcohol inks. I'm using my Copic marker refills because they are also alcohol ink, because I'm using them in the same blues that I'm going to be coloring the water in. So here I've kind of like move my alcohol all around to make sure it was going to be moving pretty well. One of them had a little bit of like dry ink on the edge that kind of flaked off into my scene, which I didn't want. That's what you saw me doing with my fingertip in there. And then this doesn't have to be super, super dark because we're just tinting the water. That's why we're doing this. You could also do this with a piece of like blue vellum. You could do that as well. Get like the tint of it. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to see the stamping as well through the vellum. I think it would be a little bit more like a murkier water. So maybe if you had a lake. But the clear works really well to be able to still see the stamping underneath. This die does obviously come with a die to cut out the center of the pool, because Trinity is known for their embellishments, and I have told you guys in the past that they are my favorite for non-sticker embellishments. So they just have a lot of really great ones. They have more that came out with this release. I am going to be using some a combination of them. So for the water, I did the closest edge a little bit darker, and I will do just a little bit of shading kind of from the left and the right hand side. I also put that little bit of darker shading underneath all of the waves. I'm going to take my mid-tone and go around the rest of the edge of the pool. The reason I'm coloring it while it's inside there is so that all of my colors and all of my edges match up. Once those edges are colored, I'm going to go ahead and remove it and then just color it as a separate piece. So again, I'm adding kind of shading from the left and right hand sides. I'm using my mid-tone, my dark mid-tone, to blend out underneath the little ripples of water. And then the lighter mid-tone, I'm kind of going to do a little bit randomly. So I am going to blend out the darker colors that are there already. And then I'm going to create almost like little pockets of light, because when you look at a pool, you know, it's not all light in one spot and all dark in one spot. I'm also going to use that lighter mid-tone to color the back edge of my pool. And the same thing with the lightest color, which is this B00. I'm going to fill in everything else with it and then hit up that edge of the pool as well, because even if this is not blue itself, it's going to reflect that the color of the liner of the pool, which mine is blue. I think most of them are. And then we're going to move on to the grasses. So we're going to kind of do the same thing that we did with the ripples in the water. We're going to add some darker shading, but this time we're going to add it behind them, because they are, they're standing up above, they're taller than all the rest of the grasses. So there would be a little bit of a darker area behind them. And I'm also adding some darkness to around the pool, more so in the front than in the back. And then I'll just work out through those colors. So I was telling my husband that I was in a hurry to get done with this card, not because I was not enjoying the card making process. I love a scene card, but because we've been in a heat wave and it's been like 90 plus every day. But for the last 2 days, that 90 plus has brought on pop-up thunderstorms. And the first day, it kind of like blew through pretty quickly. And then the rest of the evening was fine. But yesterday we just got blasted. Like it started raining around 1 o'clock, and like the storms just kept coming. And I don't think that they were done until probably like 5 or 6 at night. And they were not like, how the first, what do they call that? I used to know. Oh, and I don't anymore. I could sing you all the lyrics to like Salt and Pepper, but I could not tell you what that thing is called. Your mind goes as you get older, I guess. My mom always says, like, you better ask me now if you want to know any of my recipes while I can still remember them. Anyway, it's like the front line of the storm. When that first hits, that's like the strongest winds, the biggest hail, like when that front line first hits. Except for it was like the front line of the storm for like 4 hours. Like it was just non-stop. And like our sidewalk was flooding and our street was flooding, like not enough, that you couldn't drive through it, but it was definitely, the water was coming down fast enough that it was definitely pooling. So today it was the first day that it was nice, it was hot, and it did not pour buckets. And so Eric had picked up Caitlin from daycare on the way home. Nathan was already home. And so I was finishing up work. Normally I work from like 9 to 5:30-ish. And so I had tried to like squeeze in everything that I needed to squeeze in. I have a lot of other deadlines that needed to be hit. And I was like rushing to get net because I didn't want to make the card. Oh, here. I should have colored the sky before I did the browns on the fence, and I just realized it after the fact. Only because with your lighter colors you can pick up your darker colors, and I didn't want to streak this brown fence through my blue sky. But so what is the point of me telling you that I was rushing? The point is that like Murphy's Law, I swear to you, I don't regularly ink my Copic markers because typically it's not a big deal when they need to be re-inked. I just re-ink them when they need to be re-inked. I went and taught at Nashville, which we have not even discussed that. Oh, I got to get a story time in soon. But anyway, so I went and taught in Nashville and I just brought all of my re-inkers with me, and I just had them in my bag while I was teaching just in case. And I think I ended up having to refill like two of them. Um, but while I was doing this card, there were three different markers that desperately needed to be re-inked while I was doing this particular card. And I was like, I know it's because that when I get done with this card, I get to go swimming with my kids. I know, it's like it knew. So anywho, we did end up being able to go swimming. Now, did that mean that we did pizza for dinner? Yes, it did mean that. And I have no regrets. I make dinner 7 days a week most of the time. So if ordering pizza one night is going to get it so that we can stay in the pool for a little bit longer during summer, then I am here for it. So, both of our kids have been in swim lessons. So Peanut got swim lessons before we even got the pool. That was the agreement. He had to go to swim lessons in order for us to get the pool. And then Jelly Bean is in them now. And so she's been practicing her kicks and pulls and stuff. Last year, we bought her a life vest, but she was too little. She wasn't strong enough to be able to hold her own weight up. So if she even got slightly off kilter, the life vest would, like, if she leaned forward, the life vest would carry her down so that she was face down in the water, obviously not like defeating the purpose of being in the life vest. So this year we decided to try it again, and she is taller and stronger and weighs a little bit more. Obviously she's never not supervised regardless. But so she has been enjoying that, but she still wants to be held when she's in the pool, which is fine. That's no problem. So today when I went out there, the pool, now they all make fun of me and say, well, you don't want a pool, you want a hot tub. Because it was like, the pool water was like 84. And I was like, nah, this is still a little chilly, y'all. Like, but I had already made my mind up that I was going to, as long as it wasn't absolutely frigid, I was going to get in the pool. My husband is normally the one who takes them in when it is chilly. God bless him. Love the man. And I will sit on the deck and just kind of chit chat with everybody. Or if, Jelly Bean wants to get out and play in her water table, like I'm sitting right there, and so she can, kind of hop in and out and do whatever she wants to do. But anyhow, so today I just committed and just jumped in right away because I was like, if you're gonna go in, just get in, girl. Like they're trying to climb down the ladder and like I didn't have enough time. I didn't finish my card soon enough to have time to put a toe in and a calf in and a knee in. I had to just go for it. So I did get in and swim with them for a little bit, and Jelly Bean likes to be spun. That's one of the things that they do in swim classes is they hold the kids by their hands or under their armpits and kind of spin them around in the water so that their feet fan out behind them and they can practice their kicks. We were, we were doing that for a little bit, and I was like, well, just wait right here. Just wait right here. And she was like, no, mommy, I want you. And I was like, no, just wait right here. And so I let go of her hand. Now I didn't move. I let go of her hand and I let her kick with her life vest on to tread water. And then once she realized that she could do that, Little Miss Independent was that no longer did she want me. PPS. She no longer wanted me, and she would be like, no, I want to try again. No, I want to try again. So that was super cute. My husband was like, though, every time, like she would never not be held. And I was like, I don't know. We'll see how it is the next time. Next time we get in the pool, she might want to be held the whole time again. But she was enjoying her little bit of freedom today. So let's talk about what we're doing here. So normally with the gnomes, it's hard for me to break the habit of not coloring their beards gray. So I was you guys have heard me talk about before, repeating the same colors in your card, especially if you have a lot going on, like the scene's got a lot going on. Um, Repeating those colors will help with your cohesiveness and help it so it doesn't look too busy. So I could have gone gray, but I was like, you know what? Like, let's make him a young gnome. Let's give him some brown hair. We gave our little mermaid some brown hair as well. We're going to give her a little yellow starfish. Now, some things that I have regrets about. Like, you guys know me. I'm always being honest. I wish that I would have done her hat pink instead of purple, and that's because I did her tail pink, but then I should have thought it through. Once I put the blue vellum or the blue acetate over top of it, it took my pink to purple because, you know, pink and blue make purple. I mean, they make more of a magenta-y purple, but they still make a purple. With my underwater gnome, I tried very hard to choose colors that would work well with blue. I specifically stayed away from orange because orange can look brown when combined with blue. So I specifically stayed away from that color, but most other colors should work with blue. That's why I always say blue's a neutral, even though it's not. It is for me. So here is doing her little tail, and for the tips of her tail, I did pink that kind of faded into that yellow color of the seashell. Again, that yellow plays nicely with the blue, so I don't have to worry about, that being problematic. And then I did make another boo-boo on her seashells. In my head, I was like, I'll color them purple. And then what did I do? I colored them yellow. Why? I don't know. Should I have just embraced the yellow? Probably, honestly, but I didn't. I hit it with a little bit of colorless blender, not nearly enough to get rid of the yellow. And then I went in with my purple, thinking the purple was going to be dark enough. It is, like, it reads as purple when you see it, but it's definitely a much more muted purple than her hat is, or what I would have preferred. So if you make a boo-boo like that, where you color something the wrong color, either completely commit to going over it with a colorless blender to get rid of as many or as much of the color as you can, or commit to whatever color you accidentally put down. That's my advice. So doing her little hat, her hat has a lot of little folds in it. It also has some jewelry. Her hat is quite blinged out. So we are going to make sure that we add shading to those parts where it's folded underneath the star and the little pearl necklace. And then the highlights will be kind of where the hat is like sitting on top of her nose, the left-hand side where it's where we've added the shading where it comes up around the top is another little highlight area. For his hat, there's not as many folds because obviously he's underwater and it would kind of be like swishing back with the water, so just not as many folds. For the pearls, I only did a 2-color blend. I did the darker mid-tone pink, and then I did the lighter mid-tone pink to do the pearls. Now I'm going to add some little details with my white gel pen just for, some highlights to add some interest. I did some little spots on the starfish and on the shells on her tail. I added some highlights on the scales and on the pearls. For him, I added some white to the bubbles. I also added some highlights to his little snorkel and his fins. And then the black stamped lines that are showing the reflection on his glasses, I went over them in white. Now I'm going to use the coordinating dies to cut out my mermaid and my sentiment, and then we're going to start building our card. This came together pretty quickly. So here I want to show you, if you just wanted to do the acetate, this is what one level looks like. So see how she doesn't look like she's seated inside the water. She's just kind of like floating on top, but he looks like he's in the water. And this is just one level of blue. But since I want to do a shaker and I want my mermaid to sit in the water, I actually need 2 of these. So I'm going to cut this. This is an A2 size piece of acetate, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I am going to cut it in half to 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. And then this will give me one piece that I can cut to put my mermaid in, and it will give me another complete piece that will keep all of my shaker bits in. So if you're not doing the shaker, you don't need 2 pieces. If you're doing the shaker and you're not putting the mermaid inside the water, you don't need 2 pieces. This is the rip and stick tape. I am using that. I find dry adhesive works much better with the acetate as well as like Yupo paper. So here I'm going to put that right over there, and then I will be able to cut just a little slit where I want my mermaid to go. You can do this. I just have an X-Acto knife here because I went to find my Tim Holtz one and I couldn't find it anywhere. I don't know where it went. But anyway, so I'm just using an old school X-Acto knife, and I'm cutting on top of another piece of paper because I don't want to damage my glass mat. But you could also use like a piece of foam or something to cut on so you don't damage the surface underneath. I did not cut a very big slit, just enough to get my mermaid in. And this is another regret that I have. I wish I would have taken the time, but because I never do it until the end, I didn't think about it. I wish I would have taken the time to color the outline of the dye blue. I know that there's a blue tint over it, so it isn't as glaring as it would be if there wasn't the piece of vellum over it or acetate over it, but I can still see it, and I wish that it was blue because I know it would blend in. I know it would blend in almost completely. But anywho, to make sure she's secure in place, I'm going to use some more of that rip and tear tape to basically I'm adhering her to the back of the card, and then I'm going, all around, again, the same kind of circle of the pool to secure my second piece of acetate. I tried to pay attention to where the darker portions were and not put the darker portion directly over where my guy was going to be swimming. You could probably even go a little bit lighter. You could probably just do maybe the B00 or the B00 and a B02 without having to, and you would still get the same effect. But anyway, in order to get him where he needs to go, I'm actually going to tape down my base. I'm going to tape this down, and then I'm going to lay my card front down, hold it with one hand, and get it lined up with the pool part. So that way I know everything is lining up. And then before I secure the top over it, we obviously need to add the foam tape and stuff. But I'm going to go around the edges of this car on the base with B06. So that way, even if you're peeking in from like a side angle, everything is still blue. If you are not familiar with how to make a shaker card, you want to make sure that you are either, like in my case, I have a thinner foam tape. You can double up the foam tape so that way you have enough room for your shaker bits to shake. Or who is it? Pear Blossom Press has one that's super thick that you don't have to double up. And so does Picket Fence. But anyway, Trinity has ones you don't have to double up, and they're like small little quarter of an inch, eighth of an inch sizes. Those are fantastic for like going around smaller shaker portions. But because I have to fill in quite a large area, I didn't want to waste my little strips because I like them far too much to waste them. So I went around. This has 2 layers. The other thing you need to know with a shaker card is all of your edges have to touch. Now this last piece here, not so much because it isn't holding the shaker bits, but when you build that frame around where your shaker bits are going to be, you have to make sure that everything goes edge to edge or your shaker bits will be able to escape. So now I'm going to remove that tape. that's holding it in place. And I'm going to have to put down my shaker bits. Now, normally I would put it inside the piece and flip my card over on top like a lid. But because I have to get the placement exact for where my little swimming pool gnome is, I'm going to put the shaker bits within that area of the pool. And for this, I used crystal ball dewdrop bubbles. I used snorkel, like it's like flat confetti. And then I also used the clear twinkle, I think clear sparkle twinkle. Hold on, let me look. Clear twinkle rhinestones. So one of them is just clear, completely clear. One of them is the confetti, like the same color blue we have in the background. And then the crystal ball baubles actually have white on the back. So they all look different in there. I'll be honest with you, the little snorkel confettis are very hard to see unless you're holding it in a certain light. Then you can catch their iridescence and you can see how many there are. But those ones, looking at them straight on, you almost can't even see them at all. So now once we have all of those contained within the pool area, I am going to add a little bit of liquid adhesive to give myself a little bit of wiggle room for when I put this down, just in case I don't, nail it on the first try. So what I find is I like to stand up. So I'm looking directly down at my card, and then that way I can center not only the pool, but I can also be checking to make sure my corners are lining up. So that is all done now. The only thing that we have left to do is to add our sentiment and a few more kind of accent rhinestones. I thought about blending my sentiment into my scene, and I decided against it. I was worried it wasn't going to be legible. And then these rhinestones are I think they're the angel ones. This is another funny thing, like that Murphy's Law thing I was telling you. Once I was done with this, I went to put the tray back up where I keep it without dumping them back into the bag, and then I dumped them all over my floor. And they're still currently there because I decided I'd rather swim with my kids. So anywho, thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope that you will continue on along the hop and head over and check out Trinity's new release. Thank you so much. I always appreciate your time, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.